Today. I guess how's everybody feeling about the market? Any insight? Any personal feedback? Buy side, sell side? Nothing?
I think there's optimism in the market, but it's a challenge to get there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
buyers are taking a long time.
To what?
Make-
To
Well, I've got buyers that go, okay, or sellers and buyers that have said, well, we're gonna do it in May. And then they called me before I flew on Saturday, said, can you show us this before you leave town? And then they didn't do anything on it. So I don't know. Indecisive.
and that seems like that's just the go-to buyer formula though.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, unfortunately, most buyers until it triggers them emotionally, they're like, me.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, having been through these cycles before, I think it takes anywhere from 1 to 2 years for people's brain to catch up with this is what the price is, that is what the interest rate is, and that if you're going to get into a house, you might as well put a lid on what you wish you had done and then just go do it. But in the beginning, they always think it's going to go back to whatever it was, and they're going to wait till it does that. And usually after about 2 years, they discover that the waiting has happened and it
Didn't
It is.
change. Yeah, it didn't go in their favor.
right.
Right.
And then finally, whatever was bugging you that made you want to buy a different house in the first place is still bugging you.
Well, and you can't afford any house, and all of them bug you.
And the hard part is it's hard on us in real estate because we're trying to make a living and people are being very indecisive. But I've seen this happen probably 4 times in my career, and it's a real pain for now. I mean, they'll catch back on when they discover that it isn't going to improve, it isn't going to get better. You can keep waiting and it'll just get worse.
Right. I think I always remind people, you know, I always just always say, you know, have you seen prices the way they were in the you know, early 2000s? No. Have you seen prices in the 80s? No. Have you seen prices the way it was in the 70s? No. It's the past. It's already gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll figure that you're not lying and this is the way it is. And then our market will pick up. The only good news is this will run an awful lot of your competition out of the market altogether.
Competition being agents.
Agents. Yeah, so you'll have fewer agents to deal with.
Yeah, but I don't deal with agents anyway. There's no competition.
Well, we recognize that for you, there would be no competition. For some others, this will be a blessing.
So I've got 2 listings right now. One's been sitting there, but it's a tough one. I've got a contingent seller and we're under contract on their buy, but just can't seem to get them under contract on their sell. And we've been under contract on their buy side for at least 7 weeks, almost 8 weeks.
Lower the price.
Well, I got them to lower 120 grand initially. So we're already listed 120 grand under what they want and probably what's the actual value.
So
And
how
we
many
keep
showings have you had on that house?
25
Okay, so you've had 25 ready, willing, and able people, and
And
all of
4
them found
offers.
a better deal someplace else.
and 4 offers.
Okay, they all found a better deal someplace else, right?
You betcha.
Okay.
You
Lower the
betcha.
price.
Well, and so even today, the sellers of the house we're under contract on, their agent called me and said, hey, what if we reduce our price with you guys and you reduce your list price? I was like, well, that's creative. I was like, man, I'll throw it past my sellers, see what they say. I was
What did
like,
they say?
So I have a contingent seller and we're under contract on their buy. And we've been under contract on their buy for almost 8 weeks, 2 months. And that other seller has also been marketing their property and showing it and looking for other offers the whole time. They've been soliciting it this whole time and haven't gotten anything else. So now they've also realized if we leave, they're going to have to drop their price anyway. And that's what I told him. And he says, well, I think my sellers are willing to drop their price if you guys drop yours too. And I was like, well, shit, that seems fair.
Okay.
We'll see.
How about if your seller, instead of dropping his price that much, offered a lower interest rate? So if he's willing to buy points and offer a lower interest rate, that it's selling what they're buying, not what you're selling. So would the buyer look at that and say, well, if I could get this house, but my payment would be the same as a house that was $200,000 less, I'll buy this house.
Well, we're at 125 and we're just not running into opposition of, it's either cash or it's a heavy amount down to where they're not, nobody's even approached us looking for it.
Then why isn't it sold?
Many reasons. 2 offers were contingent and they weren't under contract, so it didn't make any sense. And they're still not under contract, the 2 offers that we got that were contingent. So that couldn't have made it possible. And then the other 2, one was cash, needed to close in 2 weeks. We couldn't make that time work. And then this last one was financing and they came in 150 grand low and my people, they wouldn't budge $1. And that was last week. So
Of the 150 grand low, though, if you look at, can you change their interest rate so that their payment would be the same as if it had been reduced by 150,000?
well, I tried that the next day and they were already under contract on something else.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, hey, let's dive into some numbers. I'm going to share my screen. David and I were actually on a call a couple weeks ago and saw kind of a great little place for stats, and it's through Redfin. And if you look at my URL, it's Redfin News Data-Center. I don't usually like sending people to other like third-party sites, but people are surfing on the internet anyway. But the reason I like this particular spot is because our clients don't have access to the MLS, so they don't have access to the stats and data that we usually see. So I liked this because this is something that is a place that they can go to and not just take my word for it. So that's kind of why I liked it. I also like looking at the actual housing and stats from the actual MLS as well. It says in the last 7 days, 877 new listings. 1,400 went pending in the last 7 days, but we only closed 930 in the last 7 days. What does this tell us? Anything? Price reductions are almost just as high as new listings. So you got
I think people are
what? Sorry.
I think that there's a lot of things at play here. I still really think that there's a lot of unexperienced agents and when I say unexperienced, I mean in this market, that are overpricing. And I think some of it is just because of the experience. They're expecting, oh, hey, like interest rates are coming down, it's going to be great, right? But I also think that sellers are more difficult today, at least for me recently, than previous. Usually I can get somebody to see the point in a price. Usually, there's not a batting 100 for that, but I have 2 listings right now that one of them I'm related to, the other was a referral from a past client, and they both just, no matter what I show them, literally the MLS, I'm showing them comps. The unit down the street is $25,000 less than yours, and it has a finished basement, an extra bathroom, and an extra bedroom, and you want to come in at $25,000 over theirs.
Right.
Just don't. It's all, well, I'm leaving money on the table. No, you're not. I finally had to get really clear and say, just as as long as you understand that this is going to be an expensive lesson for you, you know, and ultimately they ended up, the unit down the street ended up lowering their price by another $15,000. And my client is emailing me right now saying, well, is anybody interested?
More so than yours.
Like, he's like really surprised. I'm like, you have a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom unfinished patio home for $585.
One
I
time.
just like looking at these numbers, I think that, you know, we're going to have those people. Of course, you're going to see price adjustments. You know what I mean?
Right.
I probably feel a little bit better with, well, I mean, the pending is good. That means buyers are out there.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
you know, I think, what do you got, David?
I was just gonna say, I pulled Metro Orlando's numbers right now as well. They're almost identical with 824 new listings. We have 1,232 pendings with 970 closed,
Crazy.
700 price decreases, almost identical numbers.
Crazy. Yeah, so here's a question. What are some of the stats that would help us support some of these sellers that maybe have unrealistic expectations on price?
You know, great question. I showed them the obvious, what we're looking at here, like in the MLS, I show them that. I show them what is actually sold. We're looking at those listings in real time. We're looking at, I do the showing, what is it? Sparks. I show them info sparks, you know. So that's a great question, because I'm wondering what else I can provide for them to get it.
Well, so I'm gonna adjust this just for Denver real quick, because right now it's at all metro areas. I'll go to Denver. So here's Denver's days on market. Median days on market. How is it compared to 22 and 21? So 22 and 21. Here's 23. So we went from same time last year, we were at around 4 days on market to now 18 days on market. I think active listings is the other one that I think is a good one to show too, is obviously inventory is high. Same time last year, we had 3,700 homes, or no, we had 3,400 homes. And now we've got 5,000 homes. So how much is inventory increased? 40%.
That's great.
40% more homes available, also leading to an increased days on market.
That's interest rate, I think.
I think it's also fear selling. I think that a lot of sellers are afraid that if they don't, they might miss it.
I think we're seeing a lot of sellers hold inventory though, because they've got such great interest rates that they're realizing I can make a crap ton of money if I just hold on to this and rent it out and still go purchase something new.
Right. Well, and I think they just can't replace what they've already got. So
Yeah.
you're either staying where you're at, but that's not really indicative to what we're seeing. We have an increased number of sellers than we did previous years. So I mean, our active listings is up almost 40%. Year over year, it's up 46.64%. So we're up
That's
almost.
really my 2 cents worth,
I want to hear it, Bobby.
my trainer 2 cents worth.
I want to hear all 4 cents.
4 cents worth. Okay, here's the trouble that I see. Statistics never sell anybody anything except us realtors. Because it just, that is a logic. People don't operate on logic, they operate on emotion. So you're gonna have to go back to what's driving them to do this in the first place. And in Power Series, and you know this, Haley, when I'm talking about, I've got to lead them to say what I want them to say. And I do that by not arguing with them. I mean, I might have these things and leave them out there and say a couple of words about them. But my answer would be, so what do you think we ought to do? And if they say, well, I want to leave it at this price, my answer to that is, okay, not a problem. So it looks to me like it's probably not going to sell for this price until about, oh, my guess would be 2026. Is it okay with you if we're on the market that long? See, I don't fight with you. I don't fight. You can have whatever stupid price you want. In fact, I was going to tell Haley that one of them that I had said to somebody that's acting just like her people, I said, well, let's do this. Let's list it for $1 million. It's not going to sell for $1 million either, but we're both going to have a lot more fun thinking about what we're going to do with the money. Right? I'm not arguing with you. If you want to be on the market for the next 10 years, okay, as long as you understand it's probably going to take me, it's quite possible take 6 years. Is that okay with you? Because you said that you needed to move because of you wanted to get you wanted to do and it doesn't look like we're going to do that. So if we're actually going to do it sometime this year, then it looks like we're probably going to have to lower the price. What do you think? I mean,
It makes sense. And I think for me is where I struggle with that is that I don't want to hear you like what I'm hearing from him right now. I don't want to hear that.
what, that he's willing to wait 3 years or?
No, that like, well, why isn't, it's in my experience, they never stop to say, yeah, okay, I messed up. It's always the agent. It's always that, well, what are you
You know
doing?
why it's the agent? Here's why. One of the distinct problems that we have is we take too much responsibility for things. And that's what I'm trying to teach you to get out of.
Yeah.
I'm not taking the responsibility. I'm handing it to you. I will show you these numbers. I will talk about things and I will hand it to you. So you're the one that picks the number. And if it doesn't sell, don't look at me. I'm the one that told you I didn't think that number would sell until 2026. And you're the one complaining. You picked it. I'm going to make sure you picked it. Here's our problem. We like to think that we're important and that we're going to save the day. We pull out all these things that you see on the computer and we show them all the logic about why you should do this and this and this. That means I'm making the decision. And what I'm doing, essentially, if you think about it, is I'm forcing you, I'm browbeating you, I'm beating you up, I'm pushing you. Even though we want to get to the same place, you feel pushed and all you're going to do now is fight me.
Is be resistant, right?
Right. So I'm in the no resistant category. Am I actually selling? Oh, hell yes. You just don't know it. But you think it's your idea. And I'll go along with whatever dumbass thing you think of. Now I'll throw out a question like, so what do we do about, or is it okay if, but it's just a non-arguing until you get them to, because they won't argue with things they say.
Agree, or correct, right. And they won't be mad at you for the decisions they made.
And they live on emotion.
Right.
So you got to get to that emotion. What do they want? And why do they want to sell? They want something, right? They don't have something now and they want something. They want something different than what they have right now, or they wouldn't consider selling a house. It's way too much work, way too much moving crap. They want something. And if I can get you to want it enough to, what's that old story about the monkey putting his hand in the
Cookie jar?
yeah, and wouldn't let go of the food and the monkey starved to death?
Because he
Right.
couldn't get his hand out of the cookie
Because he
jar.
couldn't get his hand out of the jar in order to get the food. And so all I have to do is lead them to their decision. What do you want? Why would you want it? Why are we going there? And reinforce all the reasons that you want, what it is you want to cure, until you tell me that you would take less money to get that. I can argue with you all day long about logic, and you will fight for the rest of your life.
Bobby, do you use stats to help fuel these conversations?
No, I don't.
You just share an opinion and then
Well, what I would do is I mean, if I had this stuff with me, I might say, you know, looks like we're up in inventory, or like Haley said, the guy down the block, looks to me like, you know, like he's kind of got something better, but you know what? I want you to feel comfortable. This is your house. You're in charge. My concern is, if we're fighting with that competition, he's got to sell first, and so far he hasn't gone anyplace. So I'm thinking we're probably looking at, I don't know, maybe next December. Does that work for you? But first, I've figured out, why do you want to move? And I'll reinforce. But you would have the new garage, you would have the new thing, you would have the thing you wanted to get. Here's my concern. If we do it this way, we're probably not going to get that till sometime next year. Does that work for you?
I used a lot of those methods. I went an extra step. I took the guy to the damn house. I walked him and his wife through the competition. I pointed out the key differences in the property. I said, listen, let's call a spade a spade. This one is bigger than yours.
Mhm.
Significantly over.
He's like,
800
yeah, but we're selling a diamond, Haley.
His wife says, yeah, but ours has more privacy. Now we're back at their place, and I keep stressing it. Listen, I'm concerned for you because I don't think that you're going to get under contract as fast as you need to in order to relocate to Montana like you like. They're going out of town this weekend to get a property. And from what those agents are saying, it's really competitive there too. So having a contingency that isn't under contract yet might be difficult for them, which is why we went live on the market a whole week earlier. So I'm telling them this, and the wife literally tells me, well, ours is a better lot. They both back to Lowell. Okay.
You know, that was one of the other ones that I would say to you is, from experience, I never take them to the competition, because I could be showing them the most gorgeous house on the planet, and they will discover that because the wife sponge painted the bathroom in their house, that's worth $20,000 more than whatever these guys have. I mean, the lack of logic that people have looking at somebody else's house is just stunning to me, that you know, for those of us with a brain, we go, this is like way obvious.
Yeah, but I think that's
seller. Oh no, we
But-
paid the bathroom, so that's, you know, that's worth.
I
way
would- Haley, I would take it back to, what is their ultimate goal? Is it, after having the highest price listing in the market, just for bragging rights? Is it to net a certain amount of money? Because perhaps you can just do the net on show them, like, look, if we go down this price, you're still going to get the amount of money you need. Are you happy with that? What's more important to you?
I
Getting to the
did.
next house
I
and moving
did
out, or is
that.
it this?
I literally
So it's
did
just an
that.
ego
I had
thing,
to tell
right?
him- I had to tell him, listen, there was when you say there's money left on the table, what are you thinking? Because you have to remember that there was a moment in time that you were 100% on board with selling this for $530,000. And the only thing that changed your mind was the unit across the street that backs to the reservoir is larger, sold for $635,000. Completely different. Everything about this property, completely different.
right.
know,
And on a
so-
lake.
They're just being unreasonable, and they don't, I mean, by the end of the conversation with the wife, she got it. She said, yeah, I'm a little worried about this now. And he was like, no, like ours is going to sell. Ours is going to, you know, to the point where I had a conversation with them about Zillow over the weekend. I had to tell him, he was saying, well, funny thing is our house is, you know, it has a higher estimate than the one down the street, and, you know, all of this. And I said, well, I looked up the neighbor's house and said, well, I just look at your neighbor's house, the one you're attached to, because they're a duplex. The one that you're attached to, its estimate is for $540,000. Have you been in there? The wife's like, yeah, it has a finished basement. It has this, like all this stuff that theirs doesn't have. And I said, and look at that. The estimate is for significantly less than your list price. He stopped. That's when he stopped. Was like, I don't even know why they have a Zillow, and then let it go.
This is not
No,
supporting
the-
my case.
Yeah.
The one thing that I will say is that, just because you do all those things and you've done them right, and it sounds like you really have, it doesn't stop crazy people from existing.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't cure them all. If we would, I mean, I'd make way more money than this. So if you're dealing with somebody who, it sounds to me like, he's almost like a spoiled child who is fighting the meanie mommy all the way. So whatever you said, if If you said it was morning, he would say it was night. If he,
Well-
right? So you just, what I would do if I were in your shoes is I'd probably just back off and go, you know what, Bob, I'm going to be in the business. I'm young. I can be here for the next 20 years. So if you want to be on the market that long, I'm not going to fight with you.
I'm with you. Aren't they, isn't this a separating couple too, Haley?
No, that's somebody else.
Okay, okay. I
Because
thought maybe,
they're fighting everything you say, and everything you say is right. You've already done all those things that we've suggested. And if that's not working, then somebody's just fighting you like a child.
Yeah,
Just-
and I think you're right. I need to not, I need to. I've already
put
flat
in
out
the
said
meeting,
this,
Amy.
this will be an expensive lesson for you, not me.
Are they
This is-
already on the market?
They're on the market. And right before we went on the market, like literally minutes before, I said, this is our last opportunity to adjust the price accordingly.
You know, oh, here's the other one. Turn it around and say, how about one of these? Where you say, you know, guys, I don't really care. I'm willing to do whatever it is you want to do. Here's the thing. I just think it's only fair of me to disclose this to you. This works out better for me than it does for you. Let me explain what I mean. I get calls on a property that I have listed, and then I have the opportunity to take those people and sell them something else or sell them this one, either way. So you're doing great marketing for me because I'll be getting calls. You, on the other hand, will not be moving.
I like it.
You know,
yeah, this could go either way, Bobby.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, but isn't that the truth? I mean, it's kind of like, you know, I feel it's unfair of me to do that to you and not tell you that this works out great for me. So I'm not telling you to lower the price or get realistic so that it works for me. Because leaving it just the way it is works for me. I'll get lots of calls on the house and I'll have other buyers. You, on the other hand, aren't moving.
Right.
So
Right.
I just think it's only fair of me to tell you that that's, you know, I'm a little concerned for you. But you can do whatever you want.
You know, so me personally, I'm definitely a stats guy. I like knowing numbers and I like sharing numbers, you know, and I actually am going active on a listing tomorrow and we're picking price today. And to be honest, I'd like to give them some of these stats and let them do kind of what you're saying, Bobby, is say, hey, you know, based on what you're seeing, you know, because I'm giving them a suggestion. I think it's probably worth 900. They're wondering if we can get away with 950. I mean, based on what we're seeing, I mean, and so I switched to Florida real quick to Orlando for you, David.
Yeah.
I mean, just this alone, what do we have? Homes sold in Orlando. Homes sold is down 24%. So the number of homes being sold down 24%, and the number of active listings is up 58%. So we're up 60% in inventory and we're down 24% in actual home sales.
So can I say something to you, Mr. Jared?
I would love it, Bobby.
So you say.
I welcome it.
Your statistics are a guy thing, much more than women are interested in. And I only say that to say this. You're with a married couple. You got to figure out who's running the show. If it's a man and he's kind of taken the leadership role and he would be interested in stats, then you're doing the right thing. If she is the one that's leading the show going, I want another house, you know how women are about houses and stuff, you are using the wrong bait. You're fishing, but using the wrong bait. She won't be, it's going to be emotional. So if you're going to throw that into your man presentation, you better throw some emotion in because you're probably
Missed that train.
yeah, because the woman is probably driving the train and you're talking to him like he matters.
Well, you know, and to that, that's very fair, Bobby. Absolutely. You know, and to that point, my listing that I have that we're under contract on their buy and we're still listed. The
Mhm.
husband very much is the one that is, wife wants the house that we're under contract on. She would do anything. She wants to drop price, she'd give it away. Whatever we got to do, let's do it. He's, on the other hand, me sharing this data is probably going to actually help support her and her interest as well. You know, showing him
Well,
that,
then what you're doing is discussing, you're doing the right thing by discussing kind of man things with the man. What I wonder is, why doesn't he want to move?
You know, and to be honest with you, in this particular scenario, it's a pride thing. The same thing is you know, Haley walking through the house with her clients and them saying, well, we still have a better house. Wait, hold on. You just missed the house we saw. Like, we didn't see the same thing. Like, and I think that's what he's encountering is, well, I put these banisters up and I did these floors and you know, I put Native American stuff all over the walls. You know,
And
it's
that's why your house is worth as much as it is, because of the fabulous things that you've done.
right, right. Unfortunately, we're still
But it's
chasing
only
what a
this.
buyer will pay, and they won't pay your price.
Well, and sometimes when I've done an overpriced listing, I've said, you know, that's the problem. As enthusiastic about your house as you are, and that you could use that with him. I'm as enthusiastic about your house as you are. I think that you've done a fabulous job, and somebody is really going to get a screaming deal on this house. Unfortunately, today's market says they're probably not going to get it at this price. What do you
Right.
think we can do?
Right.
Bounce it back to him. Wait, but all I'm saying is just have a man awareness. Remember when I told you when I first got into the business, 80% of the real estate agents were men and only 20% were women. And then women have taken over like gangbusters. And the reason is because we talk emotion, because that's our nature, and we talk to her. And you look at your own case. If I was selling your house, you came over to you and Brittany, I would ignore you and talk to Brittany all day.
I would too. She wears the pants anyway.
Well, it's not whether she wears the pants. You would like to make her happy. And
Agreed.
when it comes to houses, you look at how much repair do I have to do, and do I have enough room in the closet to hang my stuff? Having found that those things are yes, she will decide about the house.
Right.
And I'm just saying, don't forget that. As a man, don't forget it. You better start talking emotion to women before you do all this logic to men.
Wow, Bobby, you're blowing my mind with your logic.
I try to have both because I don't want them just to think that I'm just here. This is what I'm saying because I'm the realtor. I know all be all. Like, here's where I get this information from. This is what's happening. And then I tried it when I'm having that. Jonathan is very much like this guy. His wife doesn't care. She wants to know what are we going to do to get to my next. So I try to play both sides. That way it's not just one over the other.
Well, and
Right.
she's right. You can't ignore him like he doesn't exist, but so she's
Yeah.
right. But we can't ignore the women either and pretend that emotion doesn't play a role in this.
This is why Brittany and I are good on a listing appointment.
Mhm.
We end up dividing and conquering. One will take me over to go see the garage and all the other shit. The wife will go with her and show all the enhancements and the other things they've done. And
It's exactly right. You've
Can
covered
we
both
download
bases.
these?
I believe so. It has printable housing stats. But it doesn't look like the same. I mean, you could screenshot it easy. You know, just use your clip tool, your snip,
Yeah.
and just
On my
snip it.
computer, if you go to print, it'll let you save as a PDF instead of actually printing it.
Thanks, Brandy.
You bet.
You know, I love what you're saying, Bobby, because I think I do tend to fall into the category of fueling conversation with stats. There's no doubt about that. And I am probably missing the other side.
Yeah, and Haley's got a pretty good answer of hitting both, making sure that she hits both.
I'm batting two. I had my two most recent lists. This is what I'm dealing with. So I'm going to keep doing how I'm doing it, but I think I'm going to be a little bit more like very clear. Like, this is my professional opinion.
Mm.
You know, like, hey, hit him with it. That way we can avoid in the future, or I can walk away knowing I warned you guys and not feel how I was feeling over the weekend.
Right. So here's printable data right here. It's the first option, download, and you can put in where you want, what, and it has all the stats for you.
Like it.
What are the thoughts we got? I guess
You know,
what
sometimes I like to go into listing presentations. Of course, when I present a value, I always present a range, right? And I always like to give it around a $20,000 range price. And I always say you can always start low and we can chase the market high. If we're too low, the market's going to tell us and we're going to get into a bidding war. Or if we start on the high end, possibly we can get it, but the longer we stay on at this price, we're going to be chasing the market down. And your best chance of getting the highest price offer is usually going to happen in the first couple of days on the market. That's going to tell us where we're at. If we're not getting the showings, we're not getting the offers, we're priced too high, and now we're chasing the market down. That doesn't look good for us. It looks desperate, it looks needy, something's wrong with your house. So maybe we should try the lower end of the range and price up. And then when I get those super stubborn sellers that are just insistent that we do it their way, I say, great, let's try it your way. And let's even give it the first 2 weeks on the market. And if in 2 weeks we haven't gotten what you have, will you agree right now to drop the price $10,000 to this price? And I build it in upfront in their listing agreement that if we don't have it already, we're automatically going to drop down in 2 weeks. Let's not waste anybody's time. And it's worked pretty well for me over the last 12 years.
I do that as well. If we're not right where I believe we should be, I definitely help set it up. Hey, if we're not seeing the showings, if we're not getting the offers, you know. I mean, so here's another stat that Bobby, I'm probably killing you with my stats today.
Yeah, but stats are good though. Let's look at the overall trend. Either it's going to give us some confidence in us and agents to say the market is still moving, or no, the market is failing and it's crashing. We're all screwed, right? So statistics are good regardless if you're emotional or logic.
Well, so InfoSparks in RE Colorado, and this is one that I've always liked. It's right here. It says shows depending, meaning how many showings do you expect before it goes under contract? Here's right here 10, and that's always been kind of the average, 10 showings per contract. Here was February of 22, it was 16 showings. More buyers.
It's funny that you say that because I've been in the business so long that it used to be the rule of thumb was 20.
Well,
And then of course that didn't happen during the hot market, but
and I think the only reason we're seeing increased
20.
showing to contract, we just had so many people in the buyer pool.
So many people in the buyer pool. We were letting showings stay open for the whole weekend, no matter what, getting all the offers in we could, then reviewing them.
Well, you know, but here's the thing. If we're not getting 10 showings in our first couple weeks, we're overpriced. If we don't get 10 showings at all, you know, if we get 10 showings in our first weekend, we could expect to get an offer.
Or you could
I
have
also say, though,
30.
conversely, if you're getting the 10 showings, it's because you're the hottest house in the market, people want to see it. But if you didn't get an offer out of 10 showings, that also tells you something.
What'd you say, Haley?
Or you could have 3 like me.
Three
No
what? Right.
showings.
3
Sorry.
showings and no offers.
I am bitter. I've worked on that house so hard this weekend.
Hey, so
Anyway.
real quick, Haley, if underneath all of these graphs is a download,
Okay, cool.
download or share.
Haley, don't take responsibility for what the seller's doing. You know, it's the price, it's the price, it's the price, it's the price. There is a price at which it would sell today. There is a price at which if you would lower it, it would sell before we left this Zoom call. So there is a price at which it would sell immediately. If you pick a price higher and higher and higher, don't blame me if it takes longer to sell. That's the nature of the business. So it's not you. There's nothing you can do. You can't do magic. And if they pick the wrong price, there's nothing you can do about it. It's always on the seller. He picked a price. It's not your responsibility. All you can do is expose it to the market, and you have done that. If he wants it sold, lower the price.
Thanks, Bobby. Is this is all metros or this is just Colorado? I pulled it
All.
up too.
All metro, you could pick whatever metro area you wanted.
Well, you could even do by county.
Uh-huh.
Like it. Okay.
I have a question because I have some buyers in town while I'm gone, unfortunately. But if they are to be thinking of making an offer, we check and see kind of what the comps are, et cetera. Are we facing on good properties the above list price if it's priced right? Are we looking at that? I haven't been out showing for a little bit, and
I
so
think it's case by case, Mary. You know,
Right.
some of them are still going above ask and flying off the shelf in the weekend. You know,
Right.
so it's yeah. But here's what hasn't changed in my experiences is every time I go out with a buyer, and I say this every time, I'm like, if we go out and you love a house, everybody else who went out loved that house too. If we go out and you're like, man, I don't like that house, everybody else did the same thing. You know, so I think if they find something that they want, they probably do have to be competitive, you know. I mean, so there are still some that are going over ask.
Yeah, and this one, these people involve a 1031 exchange. And I'm talking to the lender and I'm not sure they quite understand like appraisal gap, if there was to offer that. Does anybody know? I think there's a Tracy guy that's a Tracy
Wilson.
Wilson that could possibly answer the questions for me as to whether the equity from their 1031 exchange can be used for appraisal gap, that type of thing. That's what the lender is telling me. These are California lender. And
I don't
to
think
me,
you're
I'm just,
gonna need it though, to be honest.
okay,
I think the values were already, I don't think that you'll need it, you know, and we're not that competitive to where we're not seeing the same over asking, you know, you might be 2, 3, 5% over ask would be crazy, I think, but
okay,
I just don't think it's necessary.
all right.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's necessary. But I would call that Tracy Wilson guy. I mean, he's about the only one. So they've already listed and sold their house, so they already have the 1031 exchange initiated.
They are under contract beyond inspection.
Okay, okay. There you go. So as long as they've got that paperwork lined up for that closing, then they just have to identify.
And because I happen to be in a CE class right now talking about 1031 exchanges, you can always take from the one property that you're getting out of and into the next one up to 200% of the value higher than what the original property was. So if the first property is selling at 100,000, the next property can go up to 200,000, and you can roll in whatever you need to from the first one up to a total of 200% of the original value that need to be filed.
Great.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
Perfect. I guess a CE class is worth something, damn it.
See, hey, I'm glad you did it, David. Any thoughts, comments, questions, wishes? Any projections on what we'll see through this spring and summer?
I'm hearing that just with the rates, how they're gone a downward. I'm hearing a lot of that it's gonna be crazy again, which would
Like
make
busy.
sense. Yeah, crazy busy. You know, which is what is frustrating when you have buyers that don't no sense of urgency. I've got 2 active buyers, 3 actually, but all 3 of them are not like, let's get out there, you know, which we've gone a few times and they're just kind of like,
Eh.
You know, and now that the rates are coming down, you know, I'm trying to have conversations. Like one of them messaged me yesterday saying, yeah, we want to see this house on Friday at 4. It's a $460,000 house.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, so
here's the pending sales. More data for you, Bobby. You're loving this. But what is the pending trend? Almost right in par with 22 and 23. So I mean, what could we expect? I'm gonna say we'll probably expect something close to what we did last year.
how far, well, see, May is where it started to drop.
Last year,
Yeah, because that's when rates started to.
July.
Mhm.
Right. So I imagine we'll see something, if not close to 22, something right in the same line of 22 and 23. So it'll probably be reflectively just the same. Gotta love stats. I see your face, Bobby.
Should have turned off the video. Up.
Yeah, yeah, Bobby, your camera and microphone are still on.
Oh, never mind. Well, you understand what I'm saying about this stuff is just, to many people, they're just a bunch of lines. They don't mean anything to me, and it isn't emotion. And you can sprinkle that stuff in. You just have to remember that things like, so let me ask you this, if we found the perfect to die for house, but it was too late and it was already sold, how would you feel?
Sad.
Would that bother you?
Yeah.
Would it? So maybe what we need to do is, based on everything that I'm seeing in the market, my guess is if we wait till Friday, that to die for house will probably be gone. I would suggest we do it today. What do you think?
Damn it, Bobby. Let's do it.
Get in the car, shut your mouth, sign what I tell you to sign.
Buckle up, Buttercup.
It's new closing technique. Pretty good, don't you think?
Yeah, I think it might come with criminal
That's all.
charges.
First copy's yours. That's from the
Yeah,
old.
but those were the days, Bobby, where we carried our paper contracts and signed it right on the hood of the car.
And I have done that.
So have
Um,
I. That was 10 years ago. We don't do that anymore.
I know. Now we're too
We
lazy.
didn't do it
If isn't
10
on my
years ago.
computer, I'm not doing
Oh, I
it.
did. I've written at least 3 offers on the hood of my car, straight up right there. Sign it right here. I got it ready to go.
Absolutely.
But she's talking the carbon copy.
Oh yeah, well, I didn't have
Yeah.
those.
She's talking like press hard. I get your crayon through all those copies. Well, good stuff, guys. I think, we should all be optimistic. I think we're still in a great spot. I think that our buyers have more options than ever before. I think that they don't have to be as competitive as they used to have to be. I think it's, I think that the house that they want is still going to go fast. So they still got to be engaged and involved, but maybe just not, they don't need 100,000 cash, to go
I think
above.
we're having to see sellers put in a little bit more effort to actually present their homes in a certain way, right? We're not just buying the crap just because that's what's available anymore.
Which is
So I
why the
think that-
crap is still sitting there.
Exactly. So crap's sitting a little bit longer, but if anything, those charts do show there's still optimism in the market. Activity's still happening. The deals are still closing. We
Pending
just got to make
still-
sure we're getting ourselves in
It's
front of
still
it to
real
get the
estate.
business
People
ourselves.
still live in houses,
We
Right,
have to.
have to.
period.
Families are still splitting. Families are still growing. Kids are still going to college. Military families are still moving around. A lot of corporations are changing states. There's a lot of movement still happening.
Right.
I totally hate politics, but I mean, you can also say, the government's made us poorer over the last 3 years. They've raised rates. They, wages aren't really meeting what it's gone to. So, I mean, I don't know if you can also use that as a point when you're talking to sellers that, and it's kind of emotional, kind of stats still too.
I'd keep politics out of it.
Yeah. But I will say this in regards to politics, another election year is right on its way. So, it can't stay where it's at today because they're never going to let us go into an election year with the mess we're in right now. So it's always going to change around and get a little bit better, even for temporarily. And then it plays itself back out.
In Brandy's defense, I don't think that's politics at all. I think that's a reality.
Economics.
Interest rates have gone up. Economics, we are at an inflationary period. You can blame whoever you want to blame, whichever team you want to blame. And I agree with you. I would leave that part out, but she's right. I mean, the facts are the facts, and you've got less purchasing power now. And if you'd like to wait till it gets worse, that's on you.
Right.
And that's the direction it's headed. So, and when we were talking about rates coming down, rates are coming down, but I'll tell you what's going up. What they are doing now is it's getting harder to get the loan. They're getting tighter and tighter on who they're giving loans to. So our flaky little buyers that are out there first time and barely trying to get in with their 650 FICO score and too much debt, they're going to find that they don't get a loan at all unless they get on board. What's more, they're charging more and more fees. So the out of pocket is going to get worse for them, not better. So while your interest rate went down 1% and it changed your payment by a few $100s, it costs you 3 times as much to actually get the loan. So the longer you wait, the worse this is getting.
Right.
And
And they
that,
don't
Bobby,
take those numbers into consideration that in a year, it might be you can't even get the loan.
Right.
after I believe it's April 5th, so like, a week from now, there is something going to affect with exactly that. If you're below even like a 750 FICO, you're getting hit with some bonus points on the back end on your interest rate. If it's even below that, you're almost getting an extra point added to the back end. They're really hitting those marginal borrowers hard on the back end with points and fees. And like you said, making it harder and harder for the marginal buyers to be in the game.
And our people, our little first-time home buyers that were FHA, barely struggling to get
Yep.
in with a low FICO score and everything else, they can't even buy. We're done. You're out of the business. You should have bought. You didn't.
No, you just got to move to Florida where they have affordable housing. David just shakes his head.
Did you say I wasn't listening? Did you say you should move to Florida with affordable housing?
I said that's why you moved to Florida, because there is affordable housing.
Oh, I mean, not if you want to be in the good spots, just like nobody who lives in Pueblo, and there's a reason, right?
This can all be explained.
I mean, Trinidad's got affordable housing. Yeah. Waldenberg,
Hey, I like
be
Walden.
my guest.
Good stuff, everybody. If you guys need anything, let me know. Any final thoughts?
Yeah, I need to call you about my license.
Call me, but yeah, call me. Let me. Did you talk to him?
No, I don't know who to talk to.
Okay. Call me.
All right, we'll do.
Thanks, guys.
Going, everybody.
Have a great
Get
day.
it.
All right,
Bye.
carry on.
Thank you.
Bye.